Hello and welcome to Merlin's Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, new LEGO Ideas entries, we have actually some this week again, and general industry news from time to time as well. This week we are going to talk about the next wave of the Brickling Designer Program, or rather I should say the next iteration. Anyhow, as always, we start with set updates, and here we start with BlueBrixx, the German brand. And here we have a couple of very interesting announcements. First of all, the BlueBrixx Medieval Armorer, the 105785, an announcement, 1909 pieces. And it's of course part of the medieval series of BlueBrixx, and now we have the Armorer. What is interesting here, if you look at the flags, that is actually the coloring of Blaustein Castle, which actually there's of course a lot of debate in the community if BlueBrixx will continue to extend this behemoth. I think Blaustein Castle is right now at roughly 22,000 pieces with all extensions, and I think it weighs around 18 kilograms, slightly below that. So it is gigantic. I actually have it over here 2 meters from me right now, and it's like, I think it's roughly 72 by 72 centimeters, so that doesn't fit on a regular desk almost anymore, and it's very hard to transport it, and it's not modular. You cannot split it into multiple pieces. I mean, in theory you could, but basically it means breaking it apart. It's not truly modular. Even it has been extended with, at this point in time, 4 extensions after the basic castle. But I think there's a lot of debate, like how farther can they go? They almost added like 13,000 pieces just this year, or no, it must be more than that, 15,000 pieces I think they added this year, which is crazy. So the big question is, of course, how will they move forward? And this could be the answer by means, okay, let's stop investing into this gigantic castle and mountain, but instead add additional buildings around it. And I think that is a good strategy. And now we have here the Armorer. All of that is pure speculation at this point. I mean, let's see how they will progress moving forward. However, since Blaustein Castle has been announced or released, the original one, this is almost the first time that we are without a proper announcement of an extension. So we have these, however, and I do really like it. It's very well done. Again, it's designed by Martin, the main designer they have for the medieval series. They have actually an entire team on this, but Martin has done or provided most of the designs. And I think what is new here is especially this new roof that we see here on the right. This tiled roof is a new variant, and it's actually, I think it looks quite good. I mean, I like the wagon. There are no horses included, I think. However, this can be easily fixed with the medieval horse stable, the 105786, the second announcement. It's quite larger, actually. It has 2,860 pieces. By the way, 66. Did I say that correct? Anyhow, by the way, of course, as always, when BlueBrixx announces a set, no prices are provided, but this thing looks really, really beautiful. I like especially the stable basically with the 3 boxes for 3 horses. This is almost not medieval anymore, right? This is like very late medieval potentially, but I mean, it looks really beautiful. It is definitely the next step also for Blaustein Castle by means of architecture design. Yeah, definitely from a different era. And I really like that. And I think it will provide a great extension. It also will serve, together with the Armorer, as kind of a gap between or let's say closing a gap filler, actually, I would say, between, let's say, the medieval line that BlueBrixx had, that is, let's say, with the exception of the church, more focused on regular buildings, I would say, that you can find in the village, and of course, the Blaustein Castle. And these buildings, I think, will do very nicely, filling that gap between your medieval village and your medieval castle. So all in all, 2 beautiful announcements. Really looking forward to building these 2. And then we have Fire Brigade Multi-Purpose Vehicle with different setups. That's a very long name for a set. It is actually the first set that I'm seeing that has actually 106 number, which is interesting because it has 558 at the end. But however, I do believe that BlueBrixx has done a very similar set in the past. I think I can't find it, but folks in the community told me that BlueBrixx had already one of those in the past. So this could be more like a refresh. Anyway, this is based on the Mercedes-Benz Unimog drivetrain, if you will. It has 481 pieces. It seems to be a 6. If you include the wheels here, it's like an 8-stud car, I would say. So yeah, it should do nicely in your brick build city, in your Lego city. Here you have more variety on the vehicles, and actually, yeah, these things drive around over here in Germany. However, it's not regular police, a regular fire brigade, I would say. This is more, I mean, this is, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I've seen this specific model, but nevertheless, in general, I think the design is consistent. And then let's move on to an availability. Actually, this thing has been an announcement like forever. The ARM dropship, the 105026, it has 785 pieces. I mean, all of us know what this is, but nevertheless, BlueBrixx does not have a license. I've actually never talked about this one before. Maybe, not in the English version. Yes, I have talked about in my German podcast back in the day when the announcement was done, which was actually like almost a year ago. I think it was in January, something that took a very long time. I guess they had some problems with the set. Anyhow, I mean, obviously that is the dropship from the Alien 2 movie. And yeah, here we go. I think it's a beautiful design. When I originally saw that, I wasn't sure if I'm really comfortable with dark bluish gray as the main color. I think olive green would have been a better fit, but actually, I think Alien, and we had this with similar brick build models before, the problem of that movie is that they play so much with the lighting that you cannot be ever really sure on the color of this stuff. But my gut feeling tells me it should have more like a military look by means of olive green. The tank, of course, or the armored vehicle, that should be dark bluish gray for sure, but I'm not so sure about the dropship. Anyhow, here you go. You have even the armored vehicle inside, which I think is great. I think this is going to be a beautiful set, especially for fans of the movie. And then another availability out of the Pirate series from BlueBrixx, we have the Treasure Cave, the 105266. I think I've talked about this before. This is this highly modular series that BlueBrixx is creating around pirates. This one here has 1146 pieces, and BlueBrixx is asking for 50 euros. That includes tax over here in Europe. And what you can see here is maybe on this picture. Yeah, here you see a little bit the modularity, so you can bring these together. So this one here in front is actually a different set, and you can combine them. And the way they're doing this is basically that the entire thing is built out of modules. Obviously, they have different sizes, which as a result means you are restricted and like in the way you can combine them. But nevertheless, you have combination options included in the sets. The cave itself, of course, there's treasure. There needs to be treasure. It's a pirate cave, and you have also cannons, and you have a little bit of water, and of course palm trees, which is rather beautiful. And then we are coming to 2 availabilities of actually very old sets from time to time. I talk about those before. When I talk about them, that means these haven't been available for more than a year, as I've said in the past, and I've explained this, but for the new listeners, BlueBrixx has a different release strategy than most other vendors. So most other vendors, and I mean, Cobi, I guess, is the most extreme, rightly followed by LEGO, and that is, okay, I have a new set, I put this in stores, and then it stays there for a year or 2 years or 3 years. Sometimes it's longer. Even LEGO has some sets that, I mean, I think the old Volkswagen bus was like available for 8 or 9 years, but usually it's in the ballpark of roughly 2 to 3 years max. And then they're gone forever. Potentially the company will revive them or refresh them. Cobi, of course, is doing this a lot with their ships, but these are always different sets, right? So long story short, they have a clear point in time where the set will, go end of life, and then you can't buy it again. You can, of course, buy them in the second market, and especially in LEGO case, pay ridiculous prices. But BlueBrixx is different by means, okay, when there's enough demand, they will just continue shipping. And sometimes a set is not on the market for more than a year. And this year is a good example. This hasn't been available for a year. and then they would just bring it back. And I think one of the ways they do it, if you go on the BlueBrixx website, there is a button where you can say, hey, inform me if this is available again. And I think the way they do it is if enough people press this button, they will just bring it back. Well, that's in general the idea. Anyhow, we have now, due to this, we have back the light railway rail bus, the VT133. I guess that's a German thing. And yeah, it's like a bus on the railway. So that's interesting. We are talking about the 102,599. BlueBrixx is asking for 26 euros. That's 5.6 cents a piece. And then we have an even older fellow. I think this is from the very early days of BlueBrixx, from their Mars station. So, I mean, they have this colony series going on with a lot of announcements, which is purely science fiction. But this year is the original one. This is the one where BlueBrixx started with their science fiction stuff. This was a long time before they had the Star Trek license, etc. There they had this main base from Mars, and this year is the communication model. It is the 101903. So this is several years old, this set. It has 292 pieces. BlueBrixx is asking for 13 euros for this one, 4.4 cents a piece. So that's, I think, good news. I always love it when they bring back this old stuff. Here's, for instance, another set from from this Mars series, which is to this day available for 33 euros. You get the cargo space shuttle. So there's some interesting stuff in there. It's a pretty nice science fiction design. So let's move on to CaDA, and here we have the announcement of the Japanese tea shop. That is again a design from Access Sandbox. So I've built all his designs so far. For this one, actually, I will not build it. Somebody from my team, we will actually have a review on this one, or we have a review planned for our German site. It's a written review, but anyhow, this one here has 1,200 pieces. We are talking about the 66010 from CaDA, and like I said, it's an Access Sandbox design. So he has done before the summer Japanese coffee shop and the Japanese steamed bun shop. So this is now the Japanese tea shop. You see the similarities. So it is actually, I think he's not from Japan. He's from Malaysia, I think. But anyhow, I built the coffee shop and the bun shop, and I love these designs. I mean, the problem is always with CaDA that they do not have pet printed pieces. So there's a lot of stickers usually involved. However, these two sets, I can confirm, look quite nice even without the stickers. But if you are not into stickers, then these sets might be problematic. However, if you look at the tea shop, you at least can see less signs, for instance, compared to the bun shop. So this thing could even be better without stickers. But nevertheless, I mean, if you are into stickers, you know, if you're a regular Lego builder, my guess is you're used to stickers, so this should not be a problem. And of course, I do not know, maybe CaDA switched for the set to pet printed, but I just don't think that this is actually the case. But yeah, it's a real beauty, and I've said hopefully before, it is my opinion that these small buildings that are basically like modulars but a lot smaller, that this is the way going forward for the brick build industry, because I believe, I mean, in the long run, I mean, who has the space, yeah, right, to fill entire basements with modular buildings, and with all these companies throwing more stuff for grown-ups out there every year, I guess space becomes a bigger and bigger problem for the community. So my personal opinion is, instead of just saying, okay, I bought, I don't know, 20 modulars and now I'm done, run out of space, instead saying, hey, but I want to continue buying, I want to continue building, and I'm not the kind of guy, you know, who just sell old sets all the time so I can buy new ones. Smaller sets could be the answer. Plus, for those folks who don't have a basement but would love to build a scene with buildings and streets and vehicles and everything, these small buildings could be a good solution as well. So long story short, I'm a big fan both of the designer, the brand for sure, but also of the concept. Let's see, and let's move on to Cobi. Here we have a couple of availabilities, at least over here in Europe. Internationally, I'm still struggling to find partners that have these Cobi sets. In general, it looks to me that they are much more early available in Europe compared to overseas. But anyhow, here we have the Renault FT 2991. I think I talked about the 2992 before, so I won't go into too much detail on the historical background of this tank. However, just a quick note, I think this is the first tank, mass-produced tank that has actually a 360-degree turret. This is what I remember. Anyhow, this thing here has 304 pieces, a minifigure. It's scale 1/35, and over here in Europe, at least, you can buy it starting from 28 euros. That's roughly what Cobi is asking for as well. The list price over here in Europe is roughly 30 euros for this tank. And then we have the Sherman IC Firefly hybrid. That's the 2276, 600 pieces, one minifigure, scale 1/35, and you can buy it over here in Europe starting from 39 euros. So interesting. That is actually quite an interesting tank. So this is a Sherman that was refitted with the 17-pound gun by the British Armed Forces. So that's a 76.2 millimeter gun. It was able to fit 77 rounds in the tank, and I think the British produced or refitted. I guess they didn't produce the entire tank. I guess they were provided with Sherman shells and just refitted the turret. But anyhow, they made around 2,100, 2,200 of these beasts here. And actually, I think there was a lot of pushback back in the day to do this during Second World War. A lot of British politicians wanted to wait until the British heavily armed tanks were ready. Actually, there were a lot of delays. So it was actually a pretty good decision, and these things served until the end of the war. All right, let's move on to Keeppley, and here we have another one of these amazing space sets of Space Series by Keeppley, and this time it's the Tianhe core module, another core module. Actually, that is the sleeping compartment, I think. We're talking about the 10217. I do not know the number of pieces. That's always a struggle to find these out from Keeppley, but anyhow, we can say that this thing is 97 centimeters in width, which is gigantic. It's 35 centimeters in depth and 19 centimeters high, and you can combine it with the other core module. So long story short, with these two sets combined, however, I think you are beyond $300 at this point, but if you buy both of them, you have Tianhe core module in minifigure scale, which is amazing. I don't think that we have ever seen that before. Like Space Station in minifigure scale with all the bells and whistles. It's amazing. I really like the idea, like the approach. The other set I was just referring to is the 10216. This one here is available without the original box. You can get this one in China for around $150 roughly, and that, of course, however, will depend on like shipping and border customs tax and all this kind of stuff, like how expensive it's actually going to be for you. Anyhow, let's move on to Lego. And here we have, I could have talked about these last time, but anyhow, the official pictures I think were not available, so I skipped them until this week. And we have the Lord of the Rings brickheads. Yes, finally, we will have Lego boxes with the Lord of the Rings logo on it, which is just amazing. And we have 3 sets actually. We have first the 40631 Gandalf the Grey and the Balrog brickheads, 348 pieces, $20, as is common for 2 brickheads in a box. Usually if you have just one, it's like $10, and if you have 1.5, something like that, it's $15. So it's more or less pretty consistent on the brickhead side. Actually, I do believe that brickheads are pretty fairly priced for a Lego set. And here we have Gandalf and we have the Balrog. The Balrog I really love. I think this is amazing doing this. I mean, and it's so amazing having this small whip in this tiny hand. In general, I just love the idea of these gigantic brickheads with the tiny hands, which is usually just a plate with a clip. But in this case, the head is like enormous. It really looks so funny, this gigantic, enormous Balrog head, and then you have this tiny whip in his hands, which is amazing. Gandalf, I would say, is pretty well done. I really like the brick design. It is, of course, there's a slight lack of prints, of course, in this one, and maybe also, I don't know, I would have loved to see something like a belt pouch or something like that. Just he has a stick and, of course, his sword. But in general, from the brick perspective, it's pretty well designed. And yeah, as you see, we have here Lord of the Rings. I think this is more or less the same design as we have seen in the old days. And of course, it's not referring to the new TV series that we had just recently on Amazon, which I actually loved, to be honest. But this is just traditional Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, I would say. In general, all 3 sets are mostly referring to, of course, the first movie, the first book, whatever you might call it, Fellowship of the Ring. And then we have Frodo and Gollum, 40630, 184 pieces, $15, roughly 8 cents a piece. So yes, that is, I mean, the Gollum has a fish in his hands, which is just amazing. Pretty cool prints on the side. Really love those. And Frodo as well with the 2x6, 2x3 tile. My apologies. Very well printed. And yeah, it is clearly the design from the movie, right? This is, I think, beginning of second movie when he received. No, wait. Is this? No, it's the first movie. It's Fellowship of the Ring. Of course, Lothlorien and you know, the leaf of Lothlorien as a brooch. Is that the right English word? Anyhow, including his elvish cloak. It's all there. Love it. By the way, I'm going to buy these 3 for sure. And I will build them. So looking forward to having these. I'm actually not a BrickHeads guy so far. I mean, I really love them. I just decided not to buy them because I didn't trust myself. But this one is really amazing. So here we have Aragorn and Arwen, the 40632, 261 pieces. It is $20. It's 2 full-scale BrickHeads, so that makes sense. And there's actually several prints here involved. So we have Aragorn, and again, this is like third movie. This is like how he looks at the end when he's the crowned king of Gondor, and yeah, he has this lovely Nexo Knight shield upside down with his crown, I guess. She has also very well done a print here on top. There is metallic silver pieces, so that's lacquered pieces, not like pearl, what is it called? Dark pearl silver or whatever, or pearl gold, but it's actually, that's lacquered, I would say, metallic silver, and it looks rather beautiful. Amazing BrickHeads, all 3 sets, just amazing, big fan. Anyhow, let's move on to a new speed champion. By the way, all the sets I'm talking about again is January 1st wave. I'm really still waiting for the modular announcement. LEGO, come on, what's going on? Anyhow, now we are talking about the 76917 Speed Champions Too Fast and Too Furious, the Nissan Skyline GTR. And yes, this is Brian's car in the second movie. Haven't seen that one for such a long time. Anyhow, I did like it, actually. I mean, of course, it was far below the first one, but yeah. Turned out to be a nice movie, the way I recall it. Anyhow, yeah, I like the general design, the brick build design I really like of this GTR. However, it is a crazy amount of stickers. And from my point of view, it's just too many. I mean, yes, they wanted to have a car that is very close to the original, but I personally would have preferred if they, on the sides especially, would have brought in a few more blue pieces and then reduce the amount of stickers, because this thing is just like a canvas for stickers, this entire vehicle. It's kind of ridiculous. But okay, let's see. I think, yeah, it's going to be a speed champion. I'm looking forward to this one for sure. I may even build it, but like I said, it's just too many stickers. But nevertheless, the brick build design is nice. It seems we have also like lacquered or metallic pieces on the inside for the NOS system, which is great. But of course, everything else also, including this tiny 1x1 tile, looks like it's a sticker on it, which I really don't like, especially on very small tiles. Anyhow, here you go, next speed champion. And then we have the Australia postcard. This one is interesting, also on the sticker front. We'll come to that in a second. 40651. 191 pieces. To my knowledge, I've never built any of these postcards, but to my knowledge, they were usually stickered and not printed. However, Lego is usually pretty open. This seems to be a real picture. And I at least really struggle to identify here if these are stickers or prints, especially this kangaroo sign here. And this, of course, could be an amazing piece, a 2x2 tile with this kangaroo sign. This would be amazing. There's a good chance that we will build this one as well and have at least on the German side a review. So I will let you know as soon as I learn about it. But I think this picture, yeah, I guess the big Australia shield, sign, sticker, signature, whatever. I think it is a sticker. This looks a bit like one, but for sure not the Australia sign or the kangaroo sign. And then you have these two 1x1 bricks, I guess. They also do not look like stickered, but I'm actually not sure. Probably I'm just speculating too much. Probably it's all going to be stickers. But anyhow, let's see how that one goes. And then let's move on to a Mork. And here we have with the 31071 an announcement for the forest cabin. It has 1,689 pieces. It is 30 centimeters in width, 27 height, and 24.5 in depth. And yeah, it's a nice building, I would say. It looks really beautiful. I think I don't even know how these are called in English. In German, it's like single roof house, or no, just roof house, I think would be the direct translation, or an A-home. But I actually don't know how these are called in English. But anyhow, it is, of course, it's pretty shallow. If you look inside, it's like a typical play set from Lego, like a Harry Potter set. There it's quite typical that you have you have an interior of 4 or 5 studs, and that's the entire building. But nevertheless, I think it's an amazing play set for kids. But it also looks quite beautiful and could be the starting point for your own Mork, right? Basically buying 2 of those and then make an entire building out of it. So anyhow, really like this one. All right, let's move on. Then we have availability of the T-Bar. Finally, the 10208 from Mork. That's of course another also young design. Oh my God, I love his designs, and they are just amazing. And what is weird here is my tiny picture. So that's the one I should rather be looking for. And yeah, it's just, oh my God, is that man talented? It is a typical design of his. It's modern, it's playful, it has a ton of detail, unbelievable. Personally, I think I have built almost all of his designs. Let's take a quick look on ZDB. I think I haven't built the seafood restaurant that where he collaborated with Urge, but nevertheless, all the others, I've built all the Mode King ones, and I have built all the Mork ones now. Big issue is, of course, that the Mork sets, these are Xingbao bricks, and the brick quality is far below what we know, for instance, at least in my point of view, what Mode King had means BlueBrixx pieces or CaDA pieces for that matter. And yeah, unfortunately, it's like I said, I've built the 2 Mork sets and love the design, amazing building techniques, unbelievable building techniques. Amazing, I think is a bit too short. It's really awesome stuff, but the piece quality was really not where I wanted it to be. Anyhow, this thing here has 3,423 pieces, and you can get it in China starting from $143 US. That is not much money for 3,500 pieces with, like I said, probably one of the best designs that you can find on the market. Let's move on to Pantasy, and here we have from Southern China Southern Airline the ARJ21700, the 1102 from Pantasy. So that is the ARJ is the Advanced Regional Jet. That is a Chinese produced local jet basically. The 700 version can host between 70 to 95 passengers. 96 of these bad boys have been built so far. If Wikipedia is correct, the first flight was in 2008, produced since 2007, but it also says the introduction was in 2016. So I'm not really sure. I guess I made a mistake there, or Wikipedia made a mistake. Not sure. Anyhow, here we go. And it's, I think, pretty cool because it is a brick-built plane. Cobi has been doing airplanes like these for a very long time, but the Cobi ones have a lot of pre-manufacturers, large pieces, right? And not so much brick-built. This one, with the exception of the nose, which you can unfortunately even see because the print is completely different, at least on this picture, than the piece color. But the rest seems to be pretty well brick-built, which I really like. That is the way to go in my point of view, because, we are brick builders. We want to build. So this looks really cool. scale, so that's why it has also a lot more pieces, I guess, than a typical Cobi airplane has. Actually, Cobi is right now in the process of announcing a couple of new Boeings before beginning of next year, but like I said, I prefer this brick build design even. Yeah, because, that's what we do. But anyhow, yeah, here you also have the big engine, and the engine seems to be minifigure scale. To my knowledge, the RAJ 21700 has GE engines, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, as you can open it up, you can have your repair crew working on these. You have, of course, 2 minifigures that look very familiar to Lego ones. That's actually what I do not like. For my personal taste, they are too close to the Lego minifigures. And yeah, but next to that, I really like the engine, really like the airplane. The only problem that I see is this color difference between the prints on the nose and the actual pieces. However, this could be like an early version where they took the photographs with, so potentially the final release version is doing even better. But I guess if they could fix this problem, they would have for this marketing material. That's what I guess. Anyhow, here we go. It seems to be also a branded collaboration like Pantasy usually does with the Chinese airline. So anyhow, let's move on to Reobrix. And here we have one announcement actually from a German shop, from BlueBrixx. BlueBrixx is not just a brand, it's also a shop. Anyhow, they have announced that they will get the racing truck, the 11008, 2,116 pieces. It is 45.5 centimeters long and 18.5 width and height. So this is quite a technic behemoth, and yeah, it's rather large. I think it is even a remote controlled, as always, like with most Chinese manufacturers. They are, when it comes to that, far ahead of Lego, because they are putting in a remote control, plus you can even use your mobile phone as well, while Lego usually just has the mobile phone these days. I don't know how it is for you, but I prefer an actual remote control. But that's, of course, a question of taste. Anyhow, let's move on to Sembo. Here we had also a couple of announcements again from BlueBrixx over here in Europe that they will get into stores soon. The modern chopper in red, this is the translation from BlueBrixx, the 701811. It is a chopper, it is a big motorcycle, big ass motorcycle, I should rather say. 803 pieces, that's not much for a motorcycle in this scale. It is, yeah, it's a Technic set, I would say. It is 31 centimeters in length, 13.5 in width, and 14 height. And yeah, here we go. It's a big ass motorcycle. I'm actually not really a motorcycle guy, so I don't know what this is supposed to be. But anyhow, let's move on to the RC sports car. Again, these are just BlueBrixx translations, and I can't translate any better, so that's why I will stick with the names that they provided to the set. We are talking about the 701025, 2,671 pieces. It is scale 1/10. That is a lot. It's a large car. It is almost 53 centimeters in length, 22 in width, and 12.5 in height. It's remote controlled again. I don't know how fast it's going to be, because this thing is going to be massive. But anyhow, if you're interested in very big Technic cars that you can still remote control, like, I mean, if you look, for instance, at the very big Technic models from CaDA, like recently the Phantasma sports car, you can't, there is no remote variant to my knowledge. You can't motorize this one because it is a big ass car. I guess you would need a lot of motor power to drive this at reasonable speed. And my understanding is you can do this with this one. Anyhow, let's move on to another brilliant name that BlueBrixx provided to this set. They call it the RC sports car. I mean, obviously this one is supposed to be a Ferrari, but of course Sembo does not have a deal with the brand. So we're talking about the 701074, 1,483 pieces. It is a 1/14 model. That is not uncommon for Sembo Technic. They do this size a lot. It has 36 centimeters in length, 17 width, 8 in height, and again, remote controlled. It has a V12 in there. Of course, it is again a V12, I guess. I mean, you see this a lot. I had this recently in Phantasma Sports Car as well. There's a lot of like Technic design. No, it was not Phantasma Sports Car. That is entirely wrong. It was the Toyota Land Cruiser, the J40, I think, where they had this Technic concept of simulating a motor with open cylinders, right? Because these pieces here, I mean, yeah, I don't even know what these are. You can see here it's like a V12, so that's why you have 12 of these elements. I mean, you could argue that this is not really the cylinder, but one way or another, it's not really realistic. This is not how these machines. This is not like a ship diesel from the 40s. This is a V12, so I'm not really a big fan of that. But next to that, I would say from the outside, it looks quite nice, quite beautiful actually. But again, I'm not really a petrol head, so what do I know? Anyhow, that was new sets or set updates for this week. So let's move on to MOCs of the week, and this is the part of the show where I look at a couple of MOCs that have been uploaded to Rebrickable in the last week roughly, and I pick usually 4 to 5 that I find interesting to talk about. And here we have the Retro Arcade and Diner. It is basically an add-on to the Bricklink Designer Program. I think that was wave 1, if I recall correctly, the 910013. Basically, it's the second floor for this building. It's done by Brick Artisan, has 1,719 pieces, and I must say it is rather beautiful. By the way, like all the sets that I talk about, the same is true for MOCs of the week. Everything is linked either in the podcast show notes or in the YouTube video description for your liking. So please take a look. I think it's a very well done design. It also, I think, creates even a better similarity between the set and, of course, the modular building, the diner, right? I mean, the richness set already fit, I think, very well with the diner. But this one here, especially with introducing this, like, this pink color, this is really helping again to making this thing even closer to the diner. I think these two will look beautiful next to each other. However, I don't have them here, so I can't check this out. But I think Brick Artisan has done a great job here selling the manual for $15 US. And then, no, that was actually wrong. Let's move on to the movie accurate Neptune B escort frigate in MIDI plus scale. I'm not sure. I think I've talked about a relatively small, in quotes, Venator class before. The problem is, and because it was the same for the Venator class, and it is as it is for the Neptune B escort frigate, by means there's a lot of stuff out there of like very tiny models that everyone can build, and then these giant behemoths like, okay, let's, real MOC start at 7,000 pieces kind of MOC. And here I think we have the designer Rubble Makers calling this the MIDI plus scale. And this is what I really like. Like, this is a decent size. So it's like, it's enormous, and it is really, it's accurate, it's enormous, it's detailed, but still within reach of normal people with, in this case, 2,900 pieces. The biggest MOC I have ever built from Rebrickable had like 2,000 pieces. And there already it was quite tiresome, getting all the pieces together, sorting all of them, acquiring, buying, going through your own collection, searching, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's a lot of work. And that's why I personally never started a project with, I mean, I love some of the Star Wars designs, especially like my one case or anything like that, but who has the time and who has the money? And I think this one is still within reason. I mean, it's still a lot of work, still a lot of money, but at least Rubble Maker claims that he looked especially into using affordable pieces that are quite common. So his prediction is it will be between 220 and 250 bucks. I actually don't know if that means new or used pieces, but anyhow, the manual you can acquire for 12 bucks. And yeah, I think it's a very well done Neptune B. And like I said, within reason. And then we have a design, a Rheingold design that's actually a train car over here from Germany, and actually the designer is called German Railway Builder, so I guess the name is part of the program. It's actually a pretty big car design because it needs 1,777 pieces, so I guess it's either pretty big or pretty detailed. Unfortunately, at least here, we will not see many more pictures. I guess here there is a link, stoneheap.com. I guess that's his or her own website. Anyhow, here we are selling the manual for €5.79. That's an interesting price. Maybe, I don't know, came from dollar, like $6 or something like that, and was recalculated. I'm not 1% sure. Anyhow, if you look at German Railway Builder, there's a lot of these interesting designs. There's a BR218, BR151, and there's even the BR175, which is an amazing train, like a bullet train, as we had it over here in Germany quite some time ago. So if you are into traditional German or Central European trains, I guess that is definitely a mock portfolio to maybe take a look at. Again, links are down below. So, and then let's move on by Brixx fan we. I'm not 100% sure how it is pronounced. Usually I'm too stupid to understand these cryptic names. But anyhow, we have here a winter Viking village. I think Brixx fan has done Viking village buildings before. This is now the winter version, and what I'm showing you here right now is the entire package. I think there are also individual manuals that you can buy. Anyhow, he's selling the entire village for just $15. So the manual is definitely, from a pricing perspective, not a problem, but you will need 3,158 pieces. However, there are also pretty good building techniques in here. So even if you don't want to buy, don't want to build this entire thing, there might be some interesting building techniques in here for you. Like, for instance, this fire piece, for instance, the ship is pretty well done, I would say. Like the gate, there's a lot of interesting stuff to see here. So it might be an option just to buy the manual to, learn from the building techniques. I think there's a ton of stuff on Rebrickable that you could use like this. Just, there is nothing better in your own MOCs to copy stuff that somebody else has already done. That's okay, as long as you don't sell it and claim it's your own, right? But anyhow, and then let's move into almost alternate build. I mean, it has been put on Rebrickable as an alternate build, the Art Gallery by Brickative, 2,598 pieces. However, as this picture here claims, you will need a couple of additional pieces. So I think this was a bit of a trick so that Rebrickable would still consider this an alternate build. But anyhow, I think it's okay. I mean, it's a bit of a shortcut if you ask me. Would have preferred if this would have been a clean alternate build and then maybe upload a second one that is then not marked as alternate. But anyhow, it's not that many pieces and they're quite common, right? But long story short, we have here the art gallery, and it shows again how well done also the design of the boutique hotel is, because the color symphony and the way how the pieces are in there, you see what a beautiful alternate build you could create, right? That is very similar in design. It's had the same like art deco kind of style that the boutique hotel had, and I think it looks really, really beautiful. Well done, Brick Artisan, I must say. And it does not look that pretty from the back, which is not uncommon, especially with alternate builds. I mean, to a certain degree, it's a compromise, right? But especially in the front, I really like the design. So if this is your cup of tea, maybe buying 2 boutique hotels, that is definitely an interesting alternate build that should look very nicely next to the original building as well. And then we have another interesting mock that I was just astonished how beautiful this ship is. It's a Lego version of the Mustang Omega from Star Citizen. Actually, I think it's a limited edition racing model sponsored by Accelerated Mass Design. So I'm not really that much into Star Citizen. I mean, I do have access. I think I kind of backed the project like in the very early days, and not in the Kickstarter, but directly after that, couple of weeks after the Kickstarter, I think, or a couple of months. So I have this access like forever, like so many of us. But to be honest, I've looked into it, of course, in the beginning. My PC was never fast enough. Nowadays, my PC is fast enough for sure. That's the benefit of needing a PC that you can use to cut videos. But I haven't looked into it for many years. But I can say I do really like, and from time to time I watch YouTube videos, because Star Citizen has a couple of very talented designers, and I think this ship speaks for itself. But the designer here, Manok, has done a great brick representation of this one. I think this is one of the most beautiful brick built designs of a spaceship that I have ever seen, and you can get this manual for £10. However, it is 2,617 pieces, so that's not easy. But it looks amazing. It has even these brick built letters on the side. I'm not really sure what they mean. AMD, I guess that's Accelerated Mass Design. And like I said, it really looks beautiful. All right, I think I thought I had Lego ideas, but I forgot to save the links. Oh, that's very unfortunate. Anyhow, I would say, so let's skip Lego ideas for this week. I will talk about, there was actually 2 new designs that made the 10,000. I don't have the links right now. It doesn't matter. We will talk about it next week. No problem. Those are not running away. I hope you liked the show. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, please leave a like or a comment, or even better, subscribe to the channel. For you podcast listeners, please leave a review, comment or like on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the show. Thanks for listening. See you next week.